asked for wealth and I got work, and the hands to make my pay. I asked for truth, I got a lady, stands beside me all the way. I got the world in a raindrop, got the promise in a seed. I got all I want, I got all I need. I got all I want, I got all I need.
Thank you, God. Beautiful.
Thank you.
Love that song, George. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Well, good morning, everyone. Well, we're going to do something I like to do. I usually do it a couple times a year, and I haven't done it in a while. And someone reminded me that I haven't done it in a while. And so today, what I'm going to invite you to do, I'd like our ushers to pass out, if you don't have a little note card and a pen, it should be in the program, they say. And what I'm going to invite you to do is just take a second now and listen within yourself and see if there's some question about unity or unity's teaching or spiritual growth or spiritual principles that's in your heart that you'd like us to kind of explore today. And so it's an opportunity for you to kind of put some input into our lesson for today. And I will take these and I'm going to listen and see what comes to me about that, and we'll see what we need to share. But I do this for a couple of reasons. One, it helps, it allows me to get an awareness about where you are and what it is that you're wanting to hear more about and what you're wanting to experience more. And so I often use these for other lessons and sermons. So it's a good way to help me get an awareness about what are the questions that are going on for you. So just take a moment now, if you will, and take a nice deep breath. Breathe into the heart space. And then just listen if a question comes into your mind that you would like to explore. And feel free to write those down if you would. I'd write down at least one question for us. You may find that even though whatever question you have, someone else has probably got that as well somewhere, so it'll be valuable for someone. So let's just take a moment now and listen to that. And I'll ask you to go ahead and bring those forward. If there's more, you can feel free to do those. Go ahead and bring forward what we have, and if even while we're in the process, we can certainly have more questions. If someone has more, ask for another card. How's that? Thank you. Thank you. So, all right, let's take a nice deep breath and breathe in the heart space. And one of the things that I thought was really interesting, Lissy did our newsletter this week. And in the newsletter, I sent her my title that I was going to do question and answer, that I was going to do a question and answer session for everyone. And what she put in the newsletter I thought was pretty interesting. She said, "Come have your answers questioned." And I like that. I thought, well, that's good, because we have a tendency to think that we have all the answers, right? So I want you to be aware that I'm not here to say that I necessarily have all the answers. What I have are a lot of questions myself a lot of times, but I have, maybe some thoughts or some insights perhaps, and we'll share some of those. And as a part of this, I may ask someone else to actually, who feels comfortable, to share whatever their insight is about that. And if you do, though, be prepared to have your answers questioned, right? Because I know mine will be questioned, and I expect that. One of the things that we do teach in Unity is that no one has all the answers. No one person has all the answers. The minister doesn't have the answers. The board members don't have the answers. The prayer chaplains don't have all the answers. But the answer is in the room. And the answer is ultimately within each and every one of us. If you think about it, there's some real truth in that if you really think about it. So I'm going to just kind of shuffle through these and see what comes forward and see Oh, wow. Okay, here's two great questions. Two great questions. I'll start with the first one. The first one is, who is my divine partner? Who is my divine partner? And my sense is that this is a question about relationship. And when I listen and hear that question, for me, what I hear is a couple of things. One is, who is my divine partner? And I hear that oftentimes people talk about having soulmates, or someone who is, just their divine right partner. And, when I really think about that from a spiritual place, there's a couple ways to answer that question. And I think I'm listening, you guys are actually already have some thoughts and ideas that are coming to you about this. So you have a divine partner. I absolutely believe that you have a divine partner. And your partner ultimately is the divine. If your partner is not the divine, then you're actually looking for something in another person that you are really wanting to experience within yourself. Do you understand what I mean by that? Let me see if I can say a little bit more about that. We have a tendency to look for a sense of wholeness, a sense of completion, a sense of well-being, a sense of being loved. And we have a tendency to look for that out in our human relationships. And when we're in the process of looking for that in our human relationships, what we're doing is, in many ways, we're blocking the real awareness and experience of our true connection with our divine partner. Our divine partner is God. She's an amazing partner. He's a wonderful partner. And if we partner with that divine essence within ourselves, what we will find is we will draw and attract to us someone who will reflect back to us that wonderful divine partnership. But if we go out here looking for someone to fill up that place where we feel like we don't have that divine partnership, that we don't have it, that we're somehow lacking it in some way, then we have this wonderful, amazing, loving partner that says, oh, that's what you want. You want to experience more not having. You want to experience more of looking for your partner. You want to experience more of not being in partnership. And so part of the shift that helps us, I believe, is for us to really move into a place where we connect with that place within us where we are able to really truly love and accept and value the essence of who and what we are. Ultimately, the question that you have here is, who am I and how can I experience my wholeness? And if you really practice moving into those places where you do practice knowing the essence of your beautiful, beautiful divine being, you radiate that outward, and there's a law of attraction that works, and you're going to bring someone into your experience that reflects back to you two things: where you shine that light and where you don't. And I can tell you that's your divine partner out here. You understand what I mean by that? You'll find people who will come to you and will absolutely fill you up with an awareness that you are deeply loved and appreciated and valued and worthwhile. And you will find people in your life who will tell you and show you how you are not showing up that way and how you don't feel that. And they both are a blessing to you. And they're both here to share with you how you can experience more of your own connection and what gets in the way of that. Anybody else want to share something about that? Anybody? Again, feel free to share anything that comes to you, and be prepared to have your answers, questions, just like I expect mine to be. Yeah. Let's start over here, and then yes.
I'm remembering your affirmation, Tony, that starts, at the center of all love, I am.
Yes.
And at this center, the universe supports me in my wholeness.
Absolutely. Beautiful. Yeah. You guys familiar with that one? I haven't done that one in a while. We should probably, let's actually do that together. Let me repeat it and we'll just say it together. At the center of all love, I am. Together? At the center of all love, I am. Just listen for that for a second. And nothing can disturb me here.
And nothing can disturb me here.
And from this center,
From this center,
the universe supports me in my wholeness.
and the universe supports me in my wholeness.
And from this center,
From this center,
I go forth to love and to serve.
to love and serve.
Yeah, if we practice coming from that energy in that place, the universe will absolutely reflect back to us that energy of loving and serving, and we will attract to us people, circumstances, situations, and partnerships. And whether it be an intimate partnership, or whether it be a business partnership, whether it be just a friendship or a community, will draw to us what will reflect back to us. And you had a...
If my relationship with God is right, then the rest of my relationships can find balance. And right when you start saying, who's your divine partner, I'm like, oh, well, that's easy. It's God. Because people are infallible and God will always bring us what we need.
Beautiful. Yeah. Jennifer, right? Jennifer, thank you, Jennifer. So did everybody hear that? Can you hear that okay? Yeah. So what you said was for the video, if my relationship with the divine, if my relationship with God is right, then the rest of my life will be in balance. Is that the word you used? And I really do think that's the essence of what we're working with here. So beautiful question. Thank you for asking that. All right, let's move on to another one. Well, this is actually, we kind of just answered this one, but I'm going to go ahead and throw it out there. How can I best serve God? Shall I just say ditto? Just exactly what we heard. That's really one of the best ways for us to serve God, is to really align ourselves with that divine nature within us, and then come from our experience and awareness of that out in our world, and let it attract to us those places where we can be best of service and to share that blessing of the divine. Yeah, good questions. According to Unity, what is the purpose of life? Well, I'm going to kind of give you Tony's, version of according to Unity, because I can assure you that if you ask that question of any of the millions of people that are in Unity, you might get some pretty much the same answers, but some variations thereof, you might say. But I would suggest that the purpose of life is for us to develop and grow into our full expression of our own unique divine nature. Just kind of like we were just talking about, is to really grow into an awareness and an understanding and experience of our oneness with the divine, and then come from that place in all aspects of our life in a practical way. Again, Unity has always been taught as being practical teachings, practical Christianity, that we live these experiences. And so part of our work is to really practice aligning ourselves with Spirit, with the divine, and then moving back into allowing that Spirit to work through us in ways that allow us to be a blessing, not only to ourselves, but also to those around us in our lives and world. And a part of that process and that purpose, of course, is to let go of those things that get in the way of that, right? We all have all kinds of interesting little opportunities for learning and growing. In my meditation this morning, what came to me is that, each and every one of us, Unity, we talk about Unity being a positive path for spiritual living, and I love that affirmation. It really, truly is a positive path for spiritual living. And what I'm aware of is that each and every one of you is on the same journey, but a different path. Each and every one of us, we're all on the same journey, but we're on a different path. Can you understand the difference in that? When you think about, a mountain, the image that I get is, a mountain, there's lots of different ways to make it up a mountain. The journey is to make it up the mountain. And part of what unity is about is helping you to understand and be something of a guide on the journey. But no one can tell you exactly what your path on that journey is going to be. They can only tell you the steps that are necessary to make the journey. Is that helpful? Does that make sense? And so think about it from that perspective, that a lot of these principles are there to help us make this journey. And as we go through life, we're going to find that our path will present to us different rocks and boulders and twists and turns and different ways of working. And if we have a tendency to get caught up a lot of times in thinking that someone needs to show us the path. Well, ultimately, nobody can show you your path, but they can show you the steps on the journey. Is that helpful? And so these principles are there to help us step along in our journey and know that there's a path that is just right for you that will move you to where you are experiencing and expressing more of your unique divine nature. Great questions. There's another great question on that card. I think I'll go ahead and go with that one as well. This is a great one. I could do a whole, probably series on this, and I know a lot of people have a lot of questions about it. The question is, what happens to us after we die? What happens to us after we die? Boy, there's a lot of assumptions in that if I think about it. One of the assumptions that is in the question is that there's an assumption there that we die. And thinking about it from lots of different levels, when I think about it from the essence of my nature, I know that there's absolutely no truth in that. When I listen to it from that deep, still, small voice within me, the I am of my being, I know that we do not die. We do not die. The essence of us, the truth of us, the divine nature of us, the spirit of us, absolutely never dies. And yet we do go through this process and this experience in this physical world, in this form, where we do go through a process that we call death. And we have a lot of different messages and ideas and thinking and thoughts about what this is and what it means and what happens after it happens. And there are a number of different thoughts and ideas and philosophies and different teachings, and even in unity. Many people in unity believe that after you die, you live again in a physical form, and some people call that reincarnation. And it's a very common idea and understanding, and there are pieces of that really work for me, that I really think that there is some truth in that we do have other experiences besides this one physical experience. I think we had experiences in other physical forms before we moved into this one. I have had many experiences remembering some of those kind of experiences and lives, and I know that many in unity have. It's not a dogma or a doctrine that says you have to believe in reincarnation in order to be in unity, so I don't want anybody to think that that's the case. But I do think that there's an awareness that we have lived in other ways. I'll share with you from my perspective that not only do I think that we have lived before, but I do believe that we will live again, and that we have all been reincarnated from other life experiences, and that we will do this again, and we will continue to do this until we begin to wake up and realize that we don't need to do that anymore. So the idea is not necessarily that the purpose is to be reincarnated. The purpose is to wake up till we recognize that not only am I reincarnated from past life experiences and future life experiences, but ultimately you and I are reincarnated. I am reincarnated as you, and you are reincarnated as me. And ultimately we are always living life, and that the life experiences that you're having right now there's a part of me that absolutely is having that experience with you, because there's a part of me that knows our oneness and our connection. Now, I'm not always aware in the moment of that. Oftentimes, that's an unconscious knowing. And part of, I think, the waking up is to recognize that awareness of our spiritual nature, of our divine nature, and that we have this amazing and wonderful spirit that is absolutely expressing through each and every one of us. And every life experience that you're having is a part of what Charles Fillmore called the race consciousness. And Carl Jung called it the collective unconscious. I would say that in that collective unconscious or raised consciousness, going deeper even than that, there is a oneness consciousness. There is a consciousness of our one divine nature and spirit, and that all of the manifestations and expressions that we have out here are beautiful, beautiful flowers in a field of oneness. You know, there's the image that I get is also waves of an ocean. You and I are like waves in this amazing, beautiful ocean. So that's what speaks to me about this idea of what happens afterwards, is that we don't necessarily, we don't disappear, we don't die. Ultimately we don't die. We merge back into the ocean to reform into a new wave. And we keep doing that until we simply know that we're the ocean. So that's kind of my idea about it, but it's just one way of seeing it. I'm not saying that's the whole answer, but I'm just saying it's a way of understanding. It's a way of looking, and it works for me. Would someone else be willing to share?
I have a
Question?
I mean,
Yeah.
it's on the subject. I'm a big animal lover.
Uh-huh.
What happens, do they also go into the ocean
Absolutely. Absolutely.
and come back?
In fact, I got a question recently, and I wanted to actually address it at some point. Someone asked if animals have souls, and well, the question really was, does Unity teach that animals have souls? And, you know, I know that Charles and Myrtle Fillmore definitely felt and believed that animals have souls. And to the point that they became vegetarian because they didn't want to disturb those souls. I don't know that well, I won't get into that. That's I think a really personal decision that that we all make. And so, but I really feel that there is you got to recognize that ultimately this ocean includes not just humans. The ocean actually is all that is. And so yes, do I believe animals have souls? I do. I do believe that not only do they have souls, but they are part of that spirit, that one divine essence. And another beautiful thing about our pets especially is that they actually they're part of our psyche. They are part of our spiritual nature. And they're some of our most magnificent teachers. And we can learn many, many things about our deep nature through the animals in our lives and through the pets in our lives. And just as the natives recognize that there are totems, I think all of us have symbolic animals that represent some aspect of our soul, of our divine nature in some way. And it's valuable to pay attention and notice those, and notice the animals that show up in your life, and notice the animals that show up in your dreams, and notice the animals that show up in your, are the ones that you're drawn to. If you go to a zoo, if there's a particular animal that you're drawn to, or even for that matter, just you're browsing internet and something really draws you, pay attention to those, because there are characteristics and qualities in those animals that are either they're trying to be drawn out in you. So that's a great question. All right, how are we doing on time? We're doing well. Wow, what a great question. Let me read this one. Please discuss differences between trusting and following God's will and visualizing, creating, manifesting what I desire. Wow. Please discuss differences between those. That's a really good question, and sometimes I see this a lot in unity, and I see a lot in a lot of the different spiritual teachings. And kind of the short answer is I believe that it's God's will for us to visualize, create, and to manifest. So let me kind of take it back a little bit here. So let's think about it in terms of there's only one presence and one power in the universe, in this place, in my life, and ultimately in you and in me. There's only one presence and one power, and that presence and power is the divine, and that divine is the very essence of the creative process. That the divine didn't just decide to create way back in the beginning of, quote, time, and then stopped. The divine is creating continually, and the divine is creating in and through each and every one of us. And we are participating in that creation, whether we recognize it or whether we realize it or not. We are continually in the process of creation. We are creating life and our circumstances even right now as we're doing this wonderful exploration and question and answer. We're participating in that creative process, and we're either doing that in a conscious way or we're doing it in an unconscious way. And neither one of them, I think, are wrong or bad. I think it's perfectly fine to create unconsciously, but sometimes it does lead us in places where we don't recognize our true nature and who we are and what we are. And so there's an essence of our nature that is a part of the creative process and can do that as a participant in a conscious way. And I think it's valuable and important for us to participate in a conscious way. And probably one of the places where we get tripped up is that we somehow feel and believe that we have to, by visualizing, creating, manifesting what we desire, that somehow we get caught up in this idea that somehow that's being selfish. And I'm going to suggest to you, it's not what I would call selfish. It's what I would call self-nurturing or self-giving. And when you are in that participation of self-giving, you are giving of the essence of who and what you are, not only to yourself, but you're giving of that nature out into the world. Now, where we run into a problem is that when we visualize, we try to create, we try to manifest something in our lives, and then we become attached to whatever it is that we're trying to manifest. This is where I think we really get tripped up. So my definition of an attachment, and I've shared this before, who can tell me my definition of an attachment? I've shared it a number of times. Okay, this is a test, right? Quiz. You had it? No? Okay. So how I define attachment is this. An attachment is a desire with a fear of not having what you desire. Let me say it again, because I think it freed me in so many ways. Attachment is a desire with a fear of not having what I desire. And what happens in the creative process and the law of attraction, when I have a desire for something, I believe, and Emily Cady says, a desire is God knocking at the door of your consciousness, trying to bless you with whatever it is that desire is. The word desire, day, and sire can mean two things, comes in two ways. It means of the Father, but it also means for the Father. And ultimately, every desire that we have, every desire on some level is a desire to experience and express more of the divine. Every desire. It's to experience and express more of our divine qualities, our divine nature. So any desire that you think of right now that you have, I can assure you that ultimately it came to you as a way of trying to experience and express more of the divine. Now, you can say, well, what if I desire my neighbor's house? Well, ultimately, you don't desire your neighbor's house. You desire your house that may be somewhat like the neighbor's, but ultimately, you can't desire what really is someone else's. What you desire is what is yours. What is yours to experience, what is yours to manifest, what is yours that will bless you. And so don't get caught up in this idea that you actually desire something that someone else has. No, you don't desire what they have. You desire what is your desire and what is for you. And the reality is, the truth is, the valuable thing is, if you have a desire for it, it already exists for you in consciousness. It already exists for you in spirit. It already exists for you. And if you can really get into that feeling and that knowing that it already is, it already exists for you. But what happens is we have a desire, we hear that desire, we feel that desire, and then we immediately have what I call a yeah but. And part of our work is to learn how to get off our yeah buts. I better stand up when I say that. To get off our doubts. We have a doubt and a fear that, one, we can't have it. And usually that's because there's a feeling of, I don't deserve it. Or, I might fail, or you fill in the blank of all the yeah buts that we have. So what happens is, and we go even harder for it. We get this desire, and we wind up becoming attached to having that desire. And the very act of having that attachment is actually basically putting out to the universe, I'm afraid I'm really not going to get it. So we have the desire, which is to try and pull it toward us. And then we have the fear, which is actually pushing it away from us. So you're caught in what's the term I'm looking for? A dichotomy, it's a push me, pull me, I call it. You're trying to pull it toward you into your experience, and at the same time, your fear is actually telling the universe, I'm afraid I won't get it, and so the universe goes, okay, which is it, So part of our work is to listen to what it is our heart desires, which ultimately is to experience more of the presence of God. And that can be in the form of love, it can be in the form of life, which is health, it can be in the form of guidance and wisdom, it can be in the form of abundance and prosperity, in whatever form that needs to take for you. And at the same time, when you develop that attachment, you're putting out to the universe, I'm really afraid that I'm not going to get that. And the universe hears that and feels that. Spirit, reflects back to us what's going on in our energy and our consciousness. And so part of our creative process is really to let go of those things that get in the way of our desires. And if we can do that, that's the allowing, that's the trusting, that is really following and trusting, knowing that there's a blessing that's always trying to pour out to us and through us and for us, and we can experience it and we can have it, and it may or may not. See, one of the things that we get caught up in also is we think it has to show up in a particular form in a particular way. So we put out a desire, and how many of you ever done the treasure mapping thing? I think it's a great process, as long as you don't get caught up in believing that you have to have it in that form. So see, the universe may find that there are other ways of blessing you. Spirit has often, what's a good big number? A gazillion ways of answering our desires. But if we get caught up in it has to be this way, if we think it has to come in this form, we've created an attachment. And so the idea is to put it out there, put out our desires, trust and know that the universe is going to fill that desire in the way that's highest and best for us. So whenever, and I know many of you have heard this before, but whenever you pray for something, always pray for this or something even better, because there is an awareness, a part of our nature, a part of our spiritual divine nature, superconscious mind, divine intelligence, whatever term works for you, that really knows what is highest and best and what really will be a blessing for us. And it may or may not show up in the form that we thought that we wanted. And so that's how you really work with the idea, the differences between trusting and following the divine will and also participating in the divine creative process at the same time. And Bill had something to share, and then Andrea?
Yeah, I was in South Louisiana and drove by a Baptist church that had a little thing out front. They put the letters up, and it said, life's greatest joy began when I gave up all hope.
Oh, interesting. Life's greatest joy began when I gave up all hope. Or attachment, I think I would agree with. Yeah, you can have hope, I think, without necessarily having attachment. But yeah, I would say yeah, that's a good one. Yeah. How about you, Andrea?
I think the difference between the listening and the creating is the difference between meditating and praying. So for me, when I listen, I can get more ideas, more things than I could have personally created or desired. Like my example was when I was finished with massage school, I wanted to go somewhere warm and do massage. My personal idea was California and how to do that. And the bigger plan was Hawaii. But I had to listen and I had to have other people telling me and be resisting and then realizing everything fell into place. So I think it's important to listen so that you can create something bigger than you can imagine. Because even this or something greater, I think that's the part missing from The Secret, but the listening part, that you can listen to the divine will that's even greater than you could personally imagine. And
Yes.
so that was an important part. That you have to do the second part to then create it. So you have to do listening. I think they're together. You have
Absolutely.
to do the first and then the second. So that they're combined, not this or that. It's an and. So
Yeah,
listen and create.
it's not an and or, it's a both and. Yeah, so it's a listening and it is, what was the term you lose? Creating, yeah, listening and setting intention. So the valuable thing is to listen first and then listen and set your intentions. Russell, yeah.
One of the things that came up for me is when you talked about your self-worth and your deserving of the desire. And I remember reading it a long, long time ago in the first conversation with God, the conversation that he was having about, wishing and desiring something as being selfish. And what I read was, and originally, is that what is best for us is, in the spirit world, is what's best for everyone.
Yes. Say that again, a little louder.
What is best for us is, in the spiritual sense, and in the real world too, is what is best for everyone else too. And that's kind of hard to wrap your mind around, because what's really best for me, is it hurting somebody? No. What's really best for us, it is what's best for everybody.
If it's really best for us, it really is what's best for everyone. This is from Conversations with God. Yeah, that's a powerful understanding and awareness, and it is again coming from a spiritual perspective. What really is highest and best for us from a spiritual place is really what's highest and best for everyone. Yeah, Kim.
I work, most of my jobs have been in social services kinds of arenas, and it always struck me how we create our response to fix one issue, and the issues that people face are never isolated. They're all connected. So hunger is connected to education, is connected to crime, is connected to... And so one of the things that came to me early on, just came into my head, is this concept that we all do better when we all do better.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah,
kind of
yes.
that
All boats rise together, basically. Yeah, that's a good awareness. Yeah, we all do better when we all do better. Yeah, so as I am lifting, Jesus said it this way, when I am lifted up, I draw all he said all men, but all humankind unto me. And what he's talking about in terms of that is being lifted up in awareness, lifted up in consciousness. When my divine nature is lifted up, I am drawing up all humankind with me. And so a big part of our purpose and our work, getting back to the earlier question, is to raise our energy, to raise our awareness, to raise our understanding and experience, because in the very act of doing that, we are actually helping to raise the energy and the consciousness of all of us. Because we are all connected. We're all part of that ocean. Beautiful. And that's where we need to kind of wrap it up for today. But thank you for these questions, and I will go through these and pray about them and listen and see what other lessons need to come out of that for us. And so let's move into our meditation time. Let's take a nice deep breath. Breathe into the heart space. And as we're breathing in and out, we're grateful for knowing that there is a divine awareness, divine intelligence that is working in and through each and every one of us in this room and in this life and in this world ultimately. And that we all have a connection with the one mind and the one heart. And the answers that we are looking for and seeking are actually seeking us right now. So we release these questions into that one heart and mind and know that we are being guided and directed, that Spirit is providing the insight, the understanding, the awareness in any particular given moment or time or experience. We have with us and in us this divine intelligence. And we're willing to trust that. We move into a place of alignment with it. We set in stillness as we need to clear the clutter of thoughts and thinking. And we allow inspiration to rise. And it will rise in just the right time, in just the right way, in just the right moment. And we know that in that understanding, in that spirit, in that truth, all is well. Breathe that in and just silently affirm and know for yourself, all is well. Thank you, Blessed Spirit, that you are always there for us. And so it is. Take a nice deep breath.